And we welcome you to another edition of the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less Coaches Show, brought to you by GEICO, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Call GEICO at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO, or visit geico.com. And we welcome you once again inside TD Arena, along with the head coach of the College of Charleston, Doug Wojcik. I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for tuning in this week. Coach, a lot to get to. We'll start with the win just last night. Congratulations. Good bounce-back win for the guys, and I'm sure good for everyone. Good to get that monkey off your back and back in the win column.
Yeah, we needed it. And, when you schedule the game against Old Dominion with the success they've had over the years, they're coming in with an RPI, based on last year and everything. And they're going through some tough times themselves, but they're about as good of a 1-10 team that I've seen. I mean, it was a hard-fought game, and they looked great in warm-ups. And the kid Painter's a really good player, and thought it was a great challenge for Ajay and Trent to play against him. So it was a really, really good team win, especially having Andrew and Trent back.
Yeah, before we break it down, you talk about Old Dominion, a really good program. You mentioned it. Blaine Taylor's done a great job with that program, so it's a good win. 8 straight postseason appearances. They've been to the NCAA tournament 4 times, the NIT, CIT, so a good win.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like the text messages I get from my friends that I had more from coaches last night on the win, just because they know as coaches that Old Dominion's a good program and he's a good coach. So regardless of what the record is, it was a good win. Now, it was a good win for us for several reasons. One, over Old Dominion, a CAA opponent also for us, but also just for our psyche, because we obviously had a tough 2 weeks there. So it's nice to get back in the win column.
A little bit about that game last night. 2 specific moments I want to get your comments on. There were 2, I thought, really important runs. You guys fell behind early 17-12, so you're down by 5. All of a sudden you go on a 7-0 run. More importantly, I think on the defensive end, you hold them without a basket for almost 4 minutes. That was a big part in the game.
Well, that is true. I think both teams were trying to find the rhythm a little bit, but I thought our defense certainly picked up from last week, and I just think the team had a lot more energy with Andrew out on the floor for the most part. But I think any game, when you look back, you're going to have your runs. I thought those were key. I thought, obviously, the 2 free throws before the half were really nice to be able to run in the locker room and with a tie game.
Yeah. And then the other big run I thought was right away in that second half. You guys jump out to a 6-0 run, and that kind of really propelled you guys. You jumped out to a big lead then.
Yeah, really proud. I mean, when you're executing well, they came out and played us man. We run a great set to start the second half and get a Ajay dunk and come back, and he gets fouled. And so we were running our stuff, and then they settled into playing us zone in the matchup zone for the rest of the half. But we got a lot of transition baskets last night and scored 48 points in the second half. So that helps any team. Well,
also helping any team is going to be Andrew Lawrence. You've talked about him a lot. We talked about Ajay a lot. I wanted to focus on Anthony Thomas. He really is a guy, not to put too much pressure on him, but a guy that you need to score the basketball. He really stepped up last night in blocks and in rebounds. He also had, I think, 3 or 4 assists and a career-high 13 points.
Yeah, he did, and made 2 threes.
Yeah.
That may have been his first game where he made 2 threes in the game. Yeah. Talented kid. A lot of times I think junior college kids, it's another setting, another environment for them that they have to adjust to. And he's been here 6-7 months now, but they may take a little more time to kind of get adjusted and just know that, hey, not that they're the man, but hey, this is how important you are to the team. And I think he's feeling his way through that. I think a lot of our fans would agree with me that more than anyone else, having him have a breakout game is probably more important to us than even Ajay. Because Ajay has had his moments already. So I would agree with you. Really key performance for us, really key for himself from a confidence level. And then, of course, if we have the full complement of players, I think we're a pretty good team.
Yeah, definitely. And again, good to have Andrew Lawrence back as well. Something I wanted to get your thoughts on also, and you mentioned it during the pregame show, during the radio broadcast, is after that loss to Anderson, you never like to lose. Coaches, players never like to lose games, but it might have helped you guys in a way. You said that it helped you guys clear the air, and it really did. It seemed to maybe bring you guys together a little bit.
Well,
I know you don't like the losses.
We've played up tight at home.
Yeah,
we really have. I mean, Towson, we don't. We've got everyone healthy.
Yeah.
Then we, Andrew's probably not feeling well against St. John's. That was disappointing, and then you have that pressure, those 2 other home games in that same weekend against pretty quality opponents without a Trent. You haven't practiced without Trent. Well, then you have the pressure on you that Andrew doesn't play in that Friday game. So it's just been a lot of different challenges, and I think that's what being on a team is all about. I think that's what a season's about. I think that's the great thing about basketball or baseball is that you can progress throughout the season. Yeah. Football, you can't stumble as much just because of the bowls, and if you have a chance to win a national championship, you can't stumble. But in our case, we stumbled. I think it gave us good reasons to sit down and talk. I think some of the media were asking me, "Oh, my goodness, were practices harder?" And no, I didn't lock the doors to the gym and change anything we were doing. Actually, we actually had a great session last Friday. Coaching staff was down, we're down, they're down. No one wants to lose. No one wants to lose in front of their home fans. But somehow, some way, I think a lot of positive will come out of it.
Something else I noticed, and Andrew Lawrence and I talked about this on the post-game show, is that with back-to-back games, it seems like there were distractions. In the Louisville game, everyone was focused on the crowd. Obviously, with Louisville being here, there was a lot of focus and distractions. Against Anderson, obviously, it's a D2 school. Maybe that was a distraction. Last night, it just seemed like there wasn't any distractions. It just seemed like the guys were focused, came out, and it was all about winning a basketball game.
Yeah, and I think I thought the fans were really good.
Yeah.
I got a real appreciation for Cougar basketball last night. Students aren't here, lose to Division II team on a Thursday. Your two players don't play. There's that negativity to things.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think everyone showed up last night, meaning the fans and the sports staff. And we were all kind of, we all came together. And we get off to a sluggish start. Keep in mind, you kind of expect Andrew's wind and his timing and everything to be off a little bit. But he starts the game and knocks down a three from the corner.
Right.
You expect the same thing from Trent. So maybe that's the first 20 minutes, but the second 20, pretty good. And two CAA teams that we've played so far, we score 75 and 76, and pretty solid defense. So I don't know. There'll be other lows. I mean, that's.
There always is.
I mean, there always is.
Yeah.
There'll be other injuries, and you just try to stay consistent and do what you do and be fair to the kids, and eventually everything will come together.
Speaking of injuries and speaking of Trent Wiedeman as well, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get an update on Trent. He went down again with an ankle sprain. We'll talk about that when we come back. Also, we'll preview. Not going to have a coach's show here for a couple weeks, so we'll look ahead at the next 4 or 5 games coming up. So we'll take a break. Back with more here on the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less podcast right after this.
GEICO says, let's make life simpler.
Look, I'm all for modern conveniences. But ask yourself, do you really need a blender with 23 buttons just to chop an onion? At GEICO, we think life should be simpler. So we make it super simple to save on car insurance. Just one click and you could be on your way to saving hundreds. Come on, people. Life doesn't have to be that complicated.
GEICO. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
And welcome back inside TD Arena alongside the head coach Doug Wojcik. I'm Jeff McCarriger. Again, thanks for tuning in to our GEICO 15 Minutes or Less podcast here on CFCSports.com. Coach, as we continue, we talked about Trent Wiedeman just before we went to break. Unfortunately, he goes down with another ankle sprain. I think it was the opposite ankle.
It is.
I saw him after the game, and he didn't seem to think it was too bad, not as bad as the other one, but how's he feeling today?
Well, it is the other ankle. It's not as severe as the first one, so it'll be a day-to-day thing. It was a little more swollen this morning, so we'll see how it goes by the end of the week. But fortunately, we have the Christmas break, and the thing that Trent's done a great job of is keeping his weight down and still keeping in good shape. I think Chris Horschel and Steve Bamel has done a good job of kind of keeping him in good shape and keeping him active when he hasn't played. So he's an inspiring player for our team, and you probably saw my body language when it went down. I didn't even want to look. But but he's got a great attitude. He's a tough kid, and you know, we'll get him back soon. I just don't know exactly when yet.
Well, again, this will be our last coaches show until after the first of the year. With the holidays, we'll take a couple weeks off, but obviously we'll keep playing basketball. You got 4 games coming up. We'll talk about Coastal Carolina coming up on Saturday here in just a second, but let's look ahead a little bit over the next couple weeks. Coastal Carolina comes to town on Saturday, and then a nice road trip coming up as we head up north to Vermont and Marist, and then of course Furman to start Southern Conference play.
Yeah, I mean, I think the schedule has kind of worked out pretty well, minus me scheduling the Division II Anderson game. Other than that, I'm really pleased with my team. But Coastal comes in here at a good time. I hope our fans understand I'm playing the game at noon, just so my players can get out of here and get the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th at home. And then we report back on the 26th and have practice getting ready to go to Vermont. The Vermont game is a game that's a return bracket buster game. And so in trying to finish the schedule and everything, it wasn't easy to do. We coupled it with, hey, we're already on the road. We'll go with a 1-day prep and just bus on down to Poughkeepsie, New York, and play Marist. So we were able to do that, and that gets us back in time. That's a Tuesday game and gets us back in time, and we still have, like this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get ready for Furman. So I think it works out well. We have been a good road team so far. I really like traveling with these guys. I think the focus is really, really good. But hopefully we can take care of business on Saturday, let the kids have a nice break, and then get back and refocus for that second half of the season.
Any plans for the holidays at all for the guys? Most of them going back home, or will you host anybody? I know at Thanksgiving you hosted a lot of the guys.
Yeah, well, we always have Thanksgiving dinner, but the kids are all going home, which is great. Even Andrew's going to Great Britain. Right. So happy for those guys, and they need to get out. And then for me, my mother-in-law flew in today from Seattle, and we'll spend Christmas here. And you know what? I might be my neighbor. We may be driving the kids down to see the New England Patriots on Sunday down to Jacksonville. So I've never taken my boys to an NFL game, so I'm actually looking forward to that.
Well, again, it'll be a nice break for the guys, but first off, before we talk about the break and before the guys head home, big matchup against Coastal Carolina. It's a team that features 2 guards, Rafa and Kiara Greenwood. We had a chance to see them up close and personal at their place last year, but very good guard play again. Yeah,
they play Clemson tonight at home, so that's a big game for them. But boy, they set a ton of ball screens. Ball screen, ball screen, ball screen. You know, the other night you see an Old Dominion, they're going to run their sets. They're in a box a lot, and you can kind of know what's predicted, what's coming. Ball screen defense is tough because it's pulling your bigs away from the basket. We've got to do a great job there, bring the energy. Part of our deal, I think, is psychic and feeling good about ourselves and confidence. And obviously, I think getting some fast break points last night. I mean, I don't even know how many dunks we had. We had a ton of dunks.
Yeah, yep.
You know, and a lot of people like that. You know, people like that. I like them too. And 3-pointers, we made 3-pointers. So we gave people and our fans something to be excited about, and I think our kids are. So I think we've had our moment, our low moment. So we'll be ready to go on Saturday.
You talk about the dunks. I think that's what people are excited just to see Baru dunk. They were calling for that last year, so it's good to see him be aggressive again.
Yeah, it's funny. I got home and I didn't know this, but my kids are taking the credit for their group of kids They called out the shot clock the other night, and they feel like they forced Old Dominion to take a shot in 6 seconds.
I remember that. They did.
And then they said that they started the wave. So I know the kids and the fans. I know they had a lot of fun because I stayed up late last night. I was up really late watching the game. By the way, the telecast is great, and just to see the fans having the fun. Yeah. Ajay Duncan, the 3-pointers. Andrew's a lot of fun to watch. Anthony Thomas, I think a lot of our fans were excited for Anthony Thomas, knowing that he's probably he's the X factor for us. If he plays well and if he can truly replace Antoine Wiggins as we go forward in all the things that he did, then we're a pretty complete team. So it was good. TD Arena was great last night.
Well, congratulations again on the win. We'll talk to you again on Saturday.
Thanks, Jeff.
Big stretch coming up for the Cougars. Good win last night as they knock off Old Dominion 76-65, and now 6-4 on the season. So again, we'll take a break here on the Coaches Show for a couple weeks. We'll talk to you again after the first of the year right here on CFCSports.com. Thanks for tuning in once again.